Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's on pretty much everyone's mind. How do we unlock the potential that we know is hiding inside of us? So let's just jump right in with a huge question. If you had to put money on what really determines a person's future success, what would you pick? Most of us have been taught to look for a couple of key things. But here's the twist. The source material for today's explainer makes a pretty bold claim that the biggest predictor of your growth isn't your raw talent. It's not your IQ, and it's not the genes you were born with. Nope, the real answer is something much more in our control.
And that answer, it all comes down to something called character skills. These are the tools we use to navigate life, to stay on track, and to push forward when things get tough. Think about things like initiative, or persistence, or self-discipline. Now, it's really important we don't mix this up with personality. You can think of your personality as your default setting, your natural tendencies. Character, though. Character is the choice you make when that default setting just isn't working for you. It's like a muscle you can build to act on your values instead of just your impulses.
And this isn't just some feel-good theory. Let's look at the actual data. A study on entrepreneurs in West Africa found that when they got traditional business training, accounting, that kind of thing, their profits got a nice little boost. But when they got training in character skills, wow, their profits shot up by 30%. That's 3 times more effective.
And the impact over a lifetime is it's staggering. Other research shows that adults whose kindergarten teachers focused on character skills, things like cooperation and focus, went on to earn, on average, $320,000 more over their lifetimes. The seeds planted way back then pay off big time.
Okay, so if we're going to build these incredibly powerful skills, it really helps to have a clear target to aim for, right? A kind of ideal persona that shows us what we're shooting for. And this ideal is called the proactive imperfectionist player. I know, it's a mouthful, but it breaks down into 2 super powerful mindsets that work together to just skyrocket your growth. So let's take a look at each part.
The first half of this new identity is all about becoming a proactive imperfectionist. And I gotta tell you, this requires a huge shift in how most of us think about failure, about making mistakes. Most of us are basically trained to be perfectionists. We hate making mistakes, so what do? We stick to what we're good at, and our comfort zone actually gets smaller over time. The proactive imperfectionist does the exact opposite. They get that mistakes aren't failures, they're just data. So they go looking for them as a way to stretch their limits.
The author Adam Grant actually calls himself a recovering perfectionist. When he was a college diver, he was so terrified of messing up a hard dive that he would just stand on the board, paralyzed, sometimes for 45 minutes. As he puts it, he was freezing his progress, just practicing easy stuff instead of learning the hard stuff.
So how do you break out of that kind of paralysis? Well, the solution is beautifully counterintuitive. Instead of trying to avoid mistakes, you actually aim to make a certain number of them. You set a mistake quota.
This changes everything. If you're learning a language, making 200 mistakes means you're having hundreds of actual conversations. If you're a student, getting 100 practice questions wrong means you figured out exactly what you need to study. Hitting your mistake quota suddenly becomes a sign of a really productive day.
Okay, so embracing mistakes gets us into the arena. It pushes our boundaries. But how do we stay in the game long enough to actually see results without just, burning out? That's where the second part comes in, becoming a player.
So here's the thing. We all know that getting great at something takes incredible discipline. But, and this is the paradox, the people with the most discipline almost never rely on pure, gritty willpower. They have a secret to making hard work last.
Their secret is this idea called deliberate play. They literally design their practice sessions so that they're not just tough, but they're also engaging and fun. That's the engine that keeps them going, day in and day out, long after willpower would have quit. You want to see this in action? Look no further than NBA superstar Stephen Curry. He wasn't even a top prospect at first. What turned him into the greatest shooter ever was his trainer, who had one rule: there is no boring. Every single grueling drill was turned into a game with a score to beat, which made practice intense, effective, and actually fun.
And we can all do this. Turn your study session into a race against the clock. Give yourself points for finishing tasks. Try practicing a skill in a new place. By adding a little variety and measurement, you can turn boring work into a game you actually want to play.
So let's pull these 2 massive ideas together. How do we make embracing imperfection and turning practice into play a real, consistent daily habit?
It actually comes down to a really simple checklist.
At the end of each day, just ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, did I seek discomfort and hit my mistake quota? That's your inner imperfectionist talking. Number 2, did I ask for advice to fix those mistakes? Because mistakes are useless if you don't learn from them. And number 3, did I turn my practice into play? That's the player mindset that makes it all sustainable. Answering yes to these is the whole game.
And that just leaves us with one final thought. Growth doesn't start tomorrow. It starts with the very next thing you do. So, instead of trying to be perfect, maybe ask yourself, which worthwhile mistake are you going to go out and make today?